Now I've got an exceptionally good painting here from, I hope the name is right, but I bet it's wrong, Ouatouate. Now this is a very complete painting in just about every way. This artist absolutely understands the mechanics of a wave. And not just that, but it's also a keen student of nature. The rendition of the water, the roll of the wave, and the pickup of the colours at the crest of the wave are perfect. There's a delicate movement of colour as that wave rolls. It goes from a green into a series of muted greys and blues and mauves. And Elle's done that perfectly. The other thing that I really like about this painting is the foreground rocks. Now there, the film of water running over those rocks is done perfectly. It repeats those same soft greys. And it's exactly what happens. But you've also got that lovely brown and soft, warm colours of rocks that are experiencing waves and also getting a bit of moss on them. Now, what would I do here? Well, as I said, it's complete, but it's calling out for some seagulls. It's calling out for a little bit more wave formation behind that major wave. We want to see some more activity out there as we go towards the horizon. I do think that a couple of seagulls swooping down and finding their way to the left-hand side over that unbroken part of the wave would be excellent. So that's a very, very good painting. And Elle has really got a lot of future in this. So stay with it, keep looking at nature, and keep on doing exactly what you're doing. Lovely brushstroke, lovely use of colour, and a keen eye. Well done. Got a painting here from Jean Towle. Jean, I hope I've got your name right, but listen, you've got a pretty good hand there, particularly in drawing. You've been able to get exactly the right shape and the right proportions for that little cat in the tree. Your use of colour is excellent. Soft lines that come and go. That's one of the tricks of being a good artist, being able to find lines and let other parts go, because that excites the imagination and gives that crisp feeling of freedom. It's a very deft hand you've got there, Jean. Now, what would I do here? Well, I think what you've got is the basis for a final painting. What I would add there would be some leaves. We're predominantly cool and in the background there, that light blue, but some sprinkle of leaves down there and some twigs with a dash of light here and there would just twinkle up that background and offset and give the cat a very nice background to come out from. But you've done a great job. You keep painting. I've got a re-entry or a return of a painting by Virginia NICKLE. Virginia, you must have listened to what I said, because you have done some more work in there to add that storyline. And now you've got a painting which has a story and will attract interest from people, because we all look for something in a painting that's going to talk to us. So you've allowed me to connect with you. And that's important here. The seagulls, you've done a lot of work on those, I can see, but you've done a good job there, because you've found that at the end of the wings, they've got that black marking. You've found the flight composition nicely. You've got them arranged well in the sky, because they've got a nice V shape in there, and that's a dynamic shape in a painting. All the other lines in your painting are horizontal, and to have that V in the formation of the birds is a good touch. The two boys or two children in the front with the yellow shirt and denim shorts on, that's a good touch as well, because they're obviously there to look at the seagulls and enjoy the freshness of the waves and the seaside experience. And you've also given me something to go past to find them from, being those birds in the front. You've got one coming at me, and that tells me, look out, go around that bird, and when I go around that bird, I find the kids there. So that's good. What else to do? Reflections. I think you've forgotten to do the reflections of the two kids there. Well, you have a little bit there in terms of the leg on the left-hand side, but they could have a bit more in there, and that'll unify that foreground a bit better. And remember, unity in a painting is very important. What you've done there, however, you've used, and wisely, a limited palette. And that's given you unity across the whole painting, which is what we want. But energise that foreground a little bit more with the extension of those reflections. Job well done. I've got a lovely painting here from Miss Mystic Nails, Jennifer. Jennifer, let me say this about this painting. Mate, you are a very, very accomplished artist. Your sense of colour is strong. You understand nature very well, and the way you attack a subject is with a lot of robustness. You're confident. You're very demanding on yourself when you do a painting, because you want to get something that is going to talk to us. And believe you me, you've done that. You know what I think you should be doing? Publishing that as a postcard, because those colours and the entire presentation of that landscape, seascape, is a living postcard to me. I'd love to see you go and paint a few locations that people know, because I think you'll do a very, very good job of them. And don't change your style. You've got a very singular and individual way of doing things. The clouds, you mould and shape those clouds to fit the way you see them, not the way necessarily that everyone else sees them. The way you've sprinkled the flowers at the front right-hand side, excellent work, because that's offsetting the lightness in the sky. Yet between there and the sky, you've got a lovely mix of blues and turquoises. So you've done a very, very good job there. What else could I do? Nothing much. I think if I try to change you more than where you're going now, it might steer you the wrong way. I think I'd like to see more of what you're doing. I'd like to see more, again, of a specific location that is known, because you're going to put your own special print on that location. And that's the excitement in painting and having an individual way of doing things. Keep on painting. You're going great. I've got an excellent painting here from Rod Moore. Rod, morning reflections across the river. That's a good Aussie scene. And you've got all the elements of a good Aussie scene, particularly the sky being that crispy, very clear sky that we have in Australia, and those puffy clouds going into those distant hills. And you've got that biscuit look in the distant hills, and then on the underside of that, you're going into that nice balance of a mauve blue. Perfect stuff. Coming forward into the trees, eucalyptus trees, of course, and a little cottage there with smoke coming out of the chimney. So that's the start of a storyline. But let's go on with the elements in here. The river, good reflections there. You've got a lovely ripple line across the other bank where the water meets the bank. And then rolling forward, you've got that strong tree on the left-hand side. And what is it? Of course, it's a eucalyptus tree. Now, all the elements there tell us something about where it is, and it's obviously Aussie. But what else would I do? Now, I think that what you could do is to add a bit more detail to the front tree. You've got leaves there, which are very immediate to us. You've got a trunk there, which is immediate, and you've got that branch nicely positioned and gnarling its way up to the right-hand side. They can be energised more with detail. You've got an opportunity there to really show that you know how to paint a tree well, because you're a great observer of nature. I can see that. Well, let it carry right through to the front tree. Let it carry right through to even thistles in front of the tree and bark laying around that tree. Things that exist. And they exist to people who are keen at observing like you. So finish it off with those touches like that. What else could you do? You've started a storyline there. Beside that house with the smoke coming out the chimney would be a boat or a little jetty. Something that would tell us that the person living there is living there not simply because it's a scenic location, but because it also might be a place that he enjoys boating in, or catching fish in, or just swimming there. So there's a number of opportunities there for you to take the story a bit further. So you could also put some magpies flying through there, or a little pattern of birds going from towards the hill, past the house, over the river. because around the river you'll find those birds. You'll find the river is a magnet for life and for wildlife. So think more than just what you may see. Think what else could happen there. And go down that path sometime. But a great job, Rod. Congratulations. I've got a great painting here called Country Sunset by Charles Pinkard Sr. Charles, well done. That's a top little painting you've done there. I love the whole feel of this painting because you've captured the essence of that morning burst of sun and what happens when the mist sort of rolls around that low country and finds its way among the trees. You've been able to get the colour right of those distant hills. They do go that very gentle and sort of twinkly blue. Well, you've done all that. And I think your foreground there, the line of with a fence line there, tells us it's a rural area. So you're creating a story in there. You're suggesting that it's a pastoral area in which man has got some use. So you're developing a storyline in there. What else would I do to that? Take that storyline a bit further. You could put in there a little track that it would indicate that there's a roadway going somewhere, because a fence line tends to, across the front of a painting, tends to be a no-no in many ways because it's a barrier. And so if you put a barrier in there, give an exit to the eye at the same time. A gate in there with a little track going down to that foggy, deeper part of the painting would be a great little move. Another thing you could do is that yellow in the sky, that sunrise yellow. You've got an opportunity there to take it further. That yellow should find its way on the top of the trees a bit more. Give it a bit more of a dart there to say, oh, it's coming over towards us. It could find a little bit more speckle here and there, dots and dashes in the front. If that fence line was barbed wire fence, you'd find little twinkles of light on there. So that early morning crispness of a yellow light is something you could explore more. And the storyline could be developed a bit further. But you've got the basis of an excellent painting there. So well done. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of What Bob Thinks. Be sure to submit your artwork via my Facebook page and stay tuned with All Things Art.